All right, Jim. Well, let's now go to the main event here.
Yeah, boy.
The AEW roster review. We previously went through A through J as well as the women's roster. Any thoughts or notes before we continue on with this review of the roster?
Well, I think we got to bring people up to date. Basically, you can hear our thought processes behind the whole thing on YouTube. The clip is there reviewing the roster A through J or whatever. But we can't take the booking out on the talent because it's not their fault. And in some cases, how they've been booked, we're just taking the talent that I think that you could actually do something with in a serious, real professional promotion instead of the, hey, kids, let's put on a show, All Friends Network. And it might be changing their presentation or babyface to heel or whatever. We'll determine that later on. But is there something with anybody? And I will real quick recap. We have kept Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin, Samoa Joe, Powerhouse Hobbs, Anthony Bowens, A.R. Fox, Austin and Colton Gunn, Bandito. And by the way, we're keeping them all, but not permanently. And some of them I'm on the fence about still. Big Bill, Brody King, Buddy Matthews, Cash Wheeler, Claudio, and you're on the fence too there, Brian.
I'm not on any
Darby
fence.
Allin.
I'm not on any fence. No Claudio.
You've fallen completely over into the pig pen. Darby Allin, Dax Wheeler, Dustin, Hook, Jay Lethal, Jay White, Juice Robinson, John Morrison, and Josh Alexander. And in the middle, in potentially non-wrestling capacities, we've got Christian Cage, Billy Gunn, Adam Cole, Arya Davari, and Jeff Jarrett.
Yes, and the non-wrestling capacity
category.
is stay home.
Well, no. They could be promoters, they could be trainers, they could be fucking producers. We're talking about whether we keep people, but not
You know what I would do?
how we use them.
I would put Adam Cole in charge of the video game division.
Well, he couldn't have done worse than Kenny. What happened to that thing, by the way?
Ooh,
That's another clip. We're going to get bogged down.
That's another roster. Jim,
And
let's
we
get
have
back.
fired. Well, hold on. We have fired John Moxley, Kenny Omega, because like I said, if you got two trained chimps doing the same tricks, pick the youngest and the freshest one, and we've not got to Osprey yet. We fired John Moxley, Kenny Omega, Shapoopy, Okada underlined, Solo. That's not Solo Sikoa.
Aaron Solo.
Aaron Solo, Action Andretti, Adam Page, because he's an empty-headed dipshit. Alex Abrahantes, because we couldn't figure out what he does. Alex Reynolds, Angelo Parco. Angelo Parker, and a go-go is what I'm trying to say. B-Con, who is that? Is that Tony's brother?
Bishop Con, the Gates of Agony.
Okay. Brandon Cutler, Brian Cage, Brian Danielson, because he can't wrestle and he's gone apeshit mentally over the indie wrestling crowd. Brian Keith, Charlie Bravo, Chris Jericho, Christian Cage, as I said, up in the middle. Chuck Taylor, Colt Cabana, Edge, hate to say it. Danhausen, Daniel Garcia, Dante Martin, Darius Martin, Drillistico, Eddie Kingston, Evil Uno, Griff Garrison, Hologram, a Cassidy of some description. I've just got Cassidy here. Sean David, one
Isaiah
of them.
Cassidy from
there. He's that. Yeah, he's their younger brother. Jack Perry, John Silver, and Josh Woods. That was the fired list, and we just got to K now.
And you keep saying we.
Depending on how many,
I would have kept Omega too, but a few differences than yours.
Well, because you can't teach him. And actually, I'm rethinking Osprey after the interview that he did, where he said, "Oh, bruv, we smoke the WWE in every aspect of wrestling, except for professionalism, drawing money, and gaining viewership. It's sometimes you can't." Do you want an employee for your widget company that not only is not good at making widgets, but wants to make different fucking widgets than what the majority of the people want to buy? Sometimes you just can't teach these fuckers.
Well, let's get back to teaching about widgets here in Fantasyland. Let's continue with the list. Let's go to the letter K.
I got the paper right here.
Limitless Keith Lee.
Fuck, I forgot about him.
Yeah, apparently he just put out a statement too recently. Someone's like, "Hey, what's going on?" He's like, "I feel perfectly healthy. I'm just waiting."
Well, what the fuck? Wait a minute. Every time he's gone, he says he's perfectly healthy. He comes back, and we hear the story that he was near death. He looks near death, and then he goes away again. And then he says, "I'm perfectly healthy." I'm sorry. He's got to be perfectly gone. I can't do this. The back and forth and the Frazier promo and the gray hair and the fucking whatever. There was something there. It's long since passed. We'll see you later, Keith.
Here's what it is, Jim. Apparently, someone on Twitter, I don't have their name here. I wrote, "I hope Keith Lee is okay and doing well. I hope I will see him back in the ring. In hope you are doing well health-wise. I am truly blessed to be one of the many to watch you in the ring, and hope to once again." To which Keith Lee responded, "You have my appreciation. I am quite well. Only time will tell when or where, but I am confident that time will come. Have patience, my friend. Lead with love. Be well." He's a very nice man, I have to say.
Very polite man.
Jim, back to the roster here. Kevin Knight.
Kevin Knight, we got to keep him. There's something going on there. We would see more of him and maybe figure out something. Let's keep him.
I agree, a good recent hire. What about Killswitch, formerly Luchasaurus?
Oh, good Lord. If he ever does come back, I would suggest he leave again. Killswitch, Dino douche, whatever. If he was capable of anything, we'd have seen it by now, a long time before now. And the only thing he's ever done is gotten away.
Here's someone who looks like an evil Colin Thompson, a.k.a. Colin Thompson. Super bad Kip Sabian.
Ha! Pip Sabian. Yeah, sayonara, Pip. He was gone for about a year, just sitting in the crowd with a box on his head. That's the best work he's ever done.
Jim, what about Commander?
Oh, come on.
You wouldn't want
Commander,
WWE to sign him.
Why not? Commander could be commanded to go somewhere else. Again, you've got... Well, I mean, I don't have the entire list in front of me. You're reading it to me, but we need to keep one of the gravity-defying luchadors. And I don't remember, truthfully, which is the best one, if there's any difference. Is it Commander? Is it Hologram? Is it Pentagram? Is it
the best
Octagram?
The best one was El Hijo del Vikingo.
Well, he's gone, isn't he?
And now that guy has a good ticket to every WWE show, it seems like. Those are expensive.
But you need one. I don't know. Maybe later on we'll go back and figure out who the best was. Bandito, I think that's why we put him down there. He actually has the power to move a grown man around. So,
all right. So wait and see on Commander. Jim, the New Japan.
No, I'm putting him down as he's gone.
Oh, okay. Adios, Commander.
Because now that I've seen Bandito again, I'm reminded we've already got one.
Jim, the NJPW Never Openweight Champion from the Don Callis family, Konosuke Takeshita.
Keep him. We could start him over again under a different name with a different push, and maybe nobody remember what they've done to him so far.
Did you see he just announced he got married?
I did not. I wasn't actually looking for that announcement, therefore I didn't see it.
You want to know who he married? I swear to God, it's true.
Oh, come on now. He didn't marry somebody that I would know who the fuck they are.
He married Yuka Sakazaki. I know you know that name because it's such a catchy name. It's fun to say.
Yes, it's a catchy name. Well, maybe now she'll be barefoot and pregnant and give up the wrestling game.
Well, Jim, you want to keep Takeshita. What about Kota Ibushi?
Now let's let him join Commander. Although, do we have a motorized wheelchair to help Ibushi get out the door?
I would keep him just because I don't think he's going to be wrestling much, and I kind of want to see him. I don't know. You need a heel to really go over someone and make it look. I don't know. There's just something about like the derpiness of him every time he walks out there with like that blank look on his face, and then we're told he's a great worker, and every time he's come out there, he's bombed. I guess perversely, I want to see more, but I can understand why you'd get rid of him.
Well, we'll let the perverts have a pick at the roster later on.
Jim from the Don Callis family, Kyle Fletcher.
We got to keep Kyle. It's not his fault. He's surrounded by a bunch of morons. He's improved his body. He's got the size. He's very athletic. He just needs somebody to teach him why he's doing all this shit.
Would you keep Kyle O'Reilly from the Paragon?
Yeah, we said we weren't going to hold booking against anybody. Purely as a performer, yes. And again, there's hope that people would forget if you kept some of these people hidden long enough, forget what they've seen before, and you could reintroduce them. Kyle's a good, hardworking, dedicated young man.
What about the Murder Hawk monster from the Don Callis family, Lance Archer?
Again, that's... If we're not taking the booking into account, just the whole stupid way that he's been presented for the entire 5 or 6 years or whatever, you could do something with him. He's not going to be the world champion, but let's keep Lance Archer for right now.
What about Big Shotty Lee Johnson?
And we'll put Lance Archer in the spot that's been vacated by Lee Johnson on his way out the door.
Jim, what about the Ring of Honor?
No size, no physique, no what the fuck. He's interchangeable with all of these indie guys.
What about the Ring of Honor Pure Champion from Shane Taylor Promotions, Lee Moriarty?
Now that I'm trying to think, do I know the difference between Lee Johnson and Lee Moriarty? Fire both of them.
What about Leo Rush from Crew?
No, keep that little weasel.
I agree. He's entertaining.
He can talk and he can work and he's got something. He would again be one of the hottest managers in the history of the business if I was the booker.
What about the butler, Luther?
Oh, can we please send Eric von Stroheim to the motion picture country home?
What about from the MXM collection, Mansoor?
And Monsway can go with him. What's the other guy's name?
Well, we have him here too. He's under this MXM collection, Mason Madden.
Yeah, well, both of them are no, they're not John Madden, either one of them. They're gone. That's just, no, that'll never be redeemable.
Mark Briscoe.
We're keeping him. Obviously, not even a thought.
In terms of crowd reaction and involvement with main things, even though he's lost a ton, he loses, it seems like, every single match. Do you think it's done anything to help the crowd reactions to him? The fact that it seems like he's getting over more right now than he has before in Ring of Honor. In AEW, even though he's been there for a while, and obviously he had a lot of sympathetic love from people, and people liked him anyway at the beginning, but it seems like right now it's kind of, not to say it's clicking, but it's clicking better than it has in AEW for him.
Well, yeah, because this is a thing that's taken out of the hands of the booking and is in the hands of the fans. And regardless of whether he wins or loses, at first they were sympathetic because of what happened with Jay. But since then, Mark is just so good every time you see him that he's gotten over on his own merits, as he always does and should. But now the people know that he's being mistreated, and there's an extra, like, yes, we like this guy and we want to show it because it's a sympathy fucking cheer. It's the same day as like when the Midnight Express was getting beaten WCW all the time. The people cheered for us even more because they knew we were being fucked around. They like Mark to begin with, and they know that he's deserved much better than this. And so they're making their feelings known. But, nevertheless, yes, you'd have to be a complete idiot not to be able to understand that Mark Briscoe could be a major part of the roster. That's why the company is being run by a complete fucking idiot.
Well, speaking of Mark's, Jim, from the Don Callis family, Mark Davis.
I forgot about him. He's the one with the giant fucking voluminous ass, isn't he?
I guess you could say that. If you chose to.
I mean, he did one move one time that I really liked. I mean, it's just so bland and but let's keep him for a little while and see if we can figure out anything. Mark Davis.
From the premier athletes or representing them, Smart Mark Sterling.
Sorry, they somehow got him to refrain from hoking up the whole thing the other night, but every time we've seen him, it's just he's a parody of a manager and a parody of a lawyer, and I think he needs to be a parody of an employed person.
From Private Party, Mark Quinn.
And you know what? He's the one that I said, the high-flying fellow. Get rid of the Martins because they're always broke down anyway, and Mark Quinn would be the high-flying guy. But somebody commented, and I think it was on Twitter, that we haven't seen Mark Quinn in a while, and he's been hurt too. Did he have to tone down on the flying stuff, which was his raison d'etre, as they say? Keep Mark Quinn if he can still jump.
What about Daddy Magic, Matt Menard?
See if he can jump out the door.
Jim, what about
Daddy Mac's gone.
Matt Seidel.
Oh, come on. I mean, he was a nice worker a number of years ago. We haven't seen him on TV in forever, but at this point, age may be an issue. And also, he's small and does a lot of leaping like everybody else that we're trying to get rid of. I don't see a place for Matt Seidel right there.
Do you see a place for Kingdom member Matt Taven?
Where is he? Where the fuck is he? Matt Taven at one point in 2012, I think, we were trying to get him into Ring of Honor. He was the future of fucking wrestling. And he could do everything. And now him and Bennett, they've been hidden for so long. Yes, I'd keep Matt Taven. He's still young. And try to find him to determine what his strengths are these days.
All right. What about EVP from the Young Bucks and the Elite, Matthew Jackson?
How quickly could we give him his termination? Can I hire him for 2 different jobs so I can fire him from both of them?
If you were going to fire the Bucks and you did it on air live, do you think it would help the show?
Yes. I might make it pay-per-view.
Well, then they may not show up. You got to surprise them with it.
Well, no, I would say, hey, you assholes, you've got X amount of time on your contract. If you want any of that money, you will come to this pay-per-view where we're going to advertise it. We're going to fire your fucking asses in the middle of the ring and demand that you apologize to the fans for fucking up their only chance at a goddamn alternate wrestling promotion.
All right, Jim, what about...
I think people would buy that.
Would you buy Max Caster?
I don't think so anymore. He was over for a while with the rap and the whole thing, and he lost it. His matches were never his strong point. Bowens has passed him in the kind of hardworking dedication category. I mean, what do you think?
It's so weird because they were so hot. And then the breakup happened. The match happened. But it's almost like it didn't. Like nothing really... It's the weirdest, like, these guys were a team. They were teasing the breakup. Then the breakup happened and everyone just kind of went their own way. And then Caster started losing in seconds. And then Bowen just reappeared one day. Bowens, excuse me.
And beat him.
And beat him with Billy Gunn. And beat him. And then
in 1 minute.
I don't think we've seen Caster again, and Bowens can't win a match. That was the feud. That was the whole breakup of the hottest tag team they had, the Acclaimed, at least for a time. Jim, what about?
Yeah, let's cast Caster out.
What about Michael Nakazawa?
Oh, for fuck's sake, he can't even still be employed there. Certainly not.
He is on the roster. This is their roster.
All right. Well, he wouldn't be anymore. I mean, that's a fairly foregone conclusion. A waste of time to begin with. And he was just because he was Kenny's jock holder and bag carrier. And he was the guy with the baby oil. So they can't bring him back now with the heat that baby oil's got. So there you go. It's just more joke fucking wrestling and friends, stooge friends to get a job off the billionaire.
What about Speedball Mike Bailey?
Oh boy. I mean, there are so many people on this roster that I would just relish the thought of being able to fire in person. Hold on, I got to start another page here. Spitball Bailey. It would be
we're only an M.
Gone and forgotten. I'm on page 3 of firings, and I've only just started page 2 on the keepings.
What page does Mike Bennett of the Kingdom go on?
Mike Bennett goes back in the keepings until I could at least see, since he was a fabulous fucking in-ring talent 10 years ago, and I saw them have some wonderful tag team matches more recently than that until they got under this umbrella. I would want to see Mike Bennett and what he's doing these days to determine if he can still go. But my God, he's younger than some fucking folks, and you don't see him.
Yeah, I don't know. I would probably give up on him and Taven based on the way they were used, the way people reacted to him, the lack of reaction. I think is the big.
But we said we weren't going to count booking because that wasn't their fault. That we're going to just take the guy. And Taven and Bennett were an excellent athletic tag team that you could see working with FTR, that you could see working with Juice Robinson and old light switch Jay White, that you could say wrestling tag teams instead of small gymnastic children or big giant fucking fat schlubs. You need some athletic tag teams in the upper middle of the card to provide a little action. It doesn't mean you have to goddamn make them the main event of the biggest pay-per-view of the year. Go ahead.
MJF from the Hurt Syndicate.
Let's keep him for now, just for the sake of it.
They have him here, but obviously will not be using them for the practice that we're doing here of compiling a roster. But Brody Lee and Brody Lee Jr., -1 from the Dark Order. From the Hurt Syndicate, MVP.
Well, MVP would be kept, but we got to put him in the middle as a manager rather than an active wrestler. Manager, agent, trainer, potential fucking
enforcer,
judge of wrestlers' court. I don't know.
From the Young Bucks and EVP, also in the Elite, Nicholas Jackson.
Yeah, let's get rid of him along with his fucking goofy brother as quickly as possible. That's what's caused a lot of this mess to begin with.
What about Nick Camarado?
You know, maybe later, if we were working on projects for years from now and etc., we could evaluate him. But right now, let's just not, because he's been gone so long. There's got to be something the matter with him. He just came back lost in seconds. We don't have this much time.
The Ring of Honor World TV Champion from the Patriarchy, Nick Wayne.
Oh, good Lord. I would be open to allowing him to return when he can legally rent a car. Otherwise, you know, no physique, kind of a moopy face. He's good to be a stooge in a group, but the way that they focused on him as some kind of second coming is just ridiculous. And unfortunately, he looks like so much of the rest of the roster, we're trying to weed that look out as they're just children playing wrestler. and not somebody you would take seriously in a big budget promotion, maybe on an indie show. And he could spend some time there and get some wonderful experience for when he ever grows up and develops a personality. I'm sorry, continue on.
Freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy.
Would be freshly squeezed right out the door. I mean, patient zero for the fucking joke of this whole promotion. How can we make wrestling seem as fake and silly and uninteresting as possible with a bunch of fucking, what's the complete antithesis of the word tough? A bunch of soft ass childish pussies playing with each other instead of men fighting. You look that up in the dictionary, however you might do that, and there's a picture of our little puppy Pockets. He's not redeemable, and he's obviously has no discernible talent for major league wrestling.
What about Ortiz?
Good Lord. When did we last see him? Has it been 3 years?
I don't remember the last time, actually. I know Santana is in TNA.
Santana left.
Yeah, he's in TNA right now, yeah.
He asked to get out of there. And remember, the bone of contention between them as a team was that Santana was saying Ortiz was content to just sit around and get paid and do what he was told, and Santana had higher aspirations. That's why he left. Do you think that Ortiz has still been sitting home just getting paid?
Why sit at home when you could be flown into the show? I really don't know. I don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea.
Wouldn't we have accidentally seen him in a backstage segment if he was still around?
Again, we'll see what we can find out.
I don't know that there's really. Let's hold on. I'm losing my notes now. Let's take Ortiz out of this equation because I don't remember what he looks like at this point.
Well, Jim, what about Death Riders member Pac?
Boy, that's a hard one. Because physically, not only his look, but what he can do athletically, you would think there's some way that he could be used. But at the same time, he tries to do all the top rope shit that everybody else does, and he's slow at it, and you have to stand there and wait on him forever. But if he had a manager and it was in a group and he didn't have to talk, but he could just do his shit and he was focused on, let's keep Pac. Just a completely different presentation, and he would mean something. And also he goes away for, I know they
nonstop.
Who was it hurt him just now?
Oh, he was in a match. It was his ankle.
They buckle bombed him and broke his ankle. But who was it that?
Oh, fuck. I don't remember now.
So that's almost like, a German suplex this guy, he busted my head open. How many times you ever heard that before? I buckled bombed a guy and broke his ankle. What the
And that was like weeks after I said the one thing I don't like about Pac is that he always disappears for periods of time, whether it's injury or visa issues, and then he just reappears and attacks someone. He's going to do it again now. He's just going to all of a sudden reappear and then get hurt again or something. What about Paul White?
Oh, good Lord. I mean, he was supposed to be doing commentary years ago when they signed him.
He did do commentary on YouTube.
But since when? For how long has it been since he is not?
Well, the YouTube canceled well, actually, they didn't cancel anything. AEW just stopped doing
it. Boy, when YouTube cancels you, I'm not saying this for any other reason than there's nothing for him to do, but we've got to get rid of him because there's nothing for him to do.
What about Pretty Peter Avalon?
Oh, Christ. Pretty Peter needs to peter out. Pretty Peter is pretty gone.
How about
this is the kind of, again, just all these names of indie guys that never should have been involved in national television to begin with is what cluttered this show up from the start. Go ahead.
Was Peter Avalon the librarian?
Yes.
Oh, no shit. He's been there that whole time. Wow.
Yes.
All right. What about Preston Vance? Speaking of people that have been there forever. What about Preston Vance?
God damn, he was rotten the other night, wasn't he? Yeah, he's gone. No personality, no look, no gimmick, horrible name. Sometimes you can't tell if he's awake. The bleh.
Prince Nana.
Prince Nana would go in the middle with MVP in the manager's list, and then one would look for someone that Nana could manage that he could actually make successful, so he'd have somewhat of a reputation as a manager, and he'd get a chance to talk every once in a while. But that's just pie in the sky.
In the sky, Ricochet.
Ricochet. Well, he's going to bounce back from this decision, I'm sure. That Ricochet needs to go somewhere else.
Really, you haven't seen enough of him as a heel to think, okay, there's something I could do with him?
No, because he's an idiot apparently in real life and doesn't understand that everybody thinks he's a goddamn nerd. And I mean, athletically, you could do something with a chicken shit heel that acts like that and looks like that, except he has to know that he's being an annoying person instead of just being one and thinking that nothing's wrong. I don't think this guy's smart to the business.
All right. What about Roderick Strong from the Paragon?
Boy, there again, you could put Roddy in the ring with anybody and have a good match. He was definitely an asset 10, 15 years ago in Ring of Honor. He's getting older now, and nobody has put any credibility in him whatsoever since he's been in this fakakta company. He was just out there screaming people's names and wearing a neck brace and shit. But as an actual athletic performer, again, not to be the world champion, but to have good athletic matches with other now younger guys that you want to push, I would keep Roddy. Because he doesn't have to be at angles and cut fucking 15-minute promos. Roddy, go out there and in a fucking stiff athletic fashion, I'd like you to put Colton Gunn over in 9 minutes for me. Boom, you don't have to worry about nothing.
What about El Toro Blanco from La Facción Ingobernales? Or actually, it's not pluralized. Rush.
He's the asshole that just beats the shit out of all the baby faces, stands there and doesn't sell anything, isn't he?
It's called working.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. We got Bandito. We don't need Rush. I think he's got a bad attitude.
Obviously, there's a lot of luchadors over the past 30 years that we've seen come up from Mexico and either have success or just at least be on US TV. Where do you fall on the names? Like, obviously, to the fans of Rush, the name doesn't matter. Maybe it works better in Mexico, but to the average person, do you think it works as a name for a wrestler, Rush?
No, it doesn't. Nor that's the thing. When you have one luchador, Rey Mysterio, and it's a cool sounding name, and it's a cool mask, and it's a cool outfit, and he's a exceptional talent in a area that has not been, or had not at the time that people saw him, been overexposed and beaten to death, small high flyer. It needs the package. You can't just have these guys with these goofy names that don't translate, that can't speak, that all look the same to the casual observer because they're all wearing mostly full body outfits and some kind of decorated mask, and they're doing the same style of shit and the same moves, and expect any of them to get over no matter how good they are. You don't throw 10 people out there doing the same kind of shit and, hey, pick the best one. You say, this guy does a different style and different shit than everybody else on my roster, and I'm going to feature him because he's the best one at it. I'm sorry. Yeah. Rush can rush on out.
Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champion Sammy Guevara.
Boy, how do you get? We know that he's kind of a dipshit. Do we want to put up with that? Has he grown up a little bit and learned his lesson? He's still 6 years ago. We said he looks like he's 12 years old. That's been 6 years now. He looks 14. Let's keep him around because he has. If you could produce him, if you could avoid him having to tell us all at least one time per match that he's a crazy lunatic.
I'm loco. Watch this. Oh,
I'm loco. I'm going to do something stupid. Go, stupid, go. Go, stupid, go. It's just.
Well, I guess
you'll
keep him, all right?
We'll keep him.
Satnam Singh.
Oh, brother. Sorry, Satnam. You've been sitting out so far, and now you're going to be sat out for the rest. Not in this particular day and age. Can you take a guy that immobile just because he's that giant and do anything with him, and they didn't give it a real good try?
Do you think anyone will ever do a giant right again, or does it all depend on actually having the right person? And
it depends on the giant. You can always say that, well, Vince booked Andre right, but not after that. But the thing is, the number of 7-foot people in wrestling has drastically increased over the decades, as I guess has the number of 7-foot people in captivity in general. So the 7-foot giant now, and especially now that people are smart in such larger numbers, the giant needs to also be able to work. And people forget Andre could work. Paul White Big Show turned into a pretty good worker. But you can't just because a guy's big, and I'm not saying just work, do the moves, but work, have a personality, work, have something different about you than all the other 7-foot giants that we've seen.
Jim, here's a name that recently came up. Scorpio Sky.
Well, I would keep him. From what I remember of him, he was athletic. He was a little boring on the personality side, but his booking was weird, and the SCU group that they tried to, I don't know. Let's keep Scorpio Sky just because he's a grown adult man and a pretty decent athlete and experienced, and see if we can work something out later. Again, the problem is on the keep list that we're compiling, we're keeping a lot of guys that have good, solid matches, are athletic, and you could do something with and point in the right direction and put on the card. But there's like 3 so far that I would say, oh my God, this guy is one of my money guys. And I don't know if I've got 3 yet, and MJF has been damaged. So keep going.
From the Spanish Announce Project, Serpentico.
Oh, Christ on a cracker. He's not even a real Mexican, is he?
I don't know. Which one is
isn't he the phony Mexican?
No, that's is that Serpentico? There used to be another guy who was
Angelico.
No, Angelico doesn't wear a mask. He dances like a woman.
Drolistico.
No, that's another guy. There used to be, in the old days, wasn't there another guy that was like friends with like Sammy or something, so he was on the roster? Or was that Serpentico?
Point, he ain't on the roster anymore.
What about Shane Taylor from Shane Taylor Promotions?
Boy, I tell you what, he's got a giant fucking ass on him, doesn't he?
Not the first thing I look for.
He looks like one of those. No, he looks like one of those fucking guys that you pour the things you pour the sand in, the boxing dummies. You pour the sand in the bottom so they won't tip over.
So I guess you're keeping him now that you're working a feud with him.
No, I'm just saying he was incredibly not physically impressive to that degree when I saw him. No, I think he can go also, because what the fuck?
What about the captain, Sean Dean, of both the Infantry and Shane Taylor Promotions?
Well, how could he be a captain of both? Doesn't the Infantry require exclusivity?
I believe he's a captain in general, and he brings that captainship to both groups.
Well, why don't he go down with his ship?
All right. Well, what about... I think we actually did him. We did Shelton Benjamin with the tag team champions.
Okay, yeah, because they were champions. They were mentioned first.
Sanjay Dutt.
Well, again, Sanjay doesn't wrestle anymore. I enjoyed working with Sanjay in TNA, but I saw the fucking stuff he was doing when he was with Jarrett with the comedy and the jumping up and down and just everybody's having... I liked Sanjay's, attitude and determination and work ethic, but is he too far on the comedy wrestling now? Let's put him in the middle as an agent and see what happens later on.
The Icon Sting.
Well, as we've said about something before, wish in one hand and shit in the other to see which one fills up first. Sting ain't coming back unless, they give him another multi-millions of dollars to come and put his face paint on and sign autographs. So I don't think Sting needs to be a topic of this discussion. He's retired.
What about Stokely?
Stokely, there's something, put him in the middle as another manager. There's something there. He can talk. If there was ever any credibility given to him as a manager of main event personnel, and he had material that something he was given to talk about instead of just making shit up. I'm not saying he can't, he's not going to be Bobby Heenan, but he wouldn't suck.
What about Swerve Strickland?
You got to keep Swerve until we can figure out if it's just one of those deals where they're only going to cheer him if he's a heel and they're only going to just not give a shit if he's a babyface. And if it's just all about chanting whose house it is.
Well, Jim, we are in the home stretch. We are now at the letter T. Starting the letter T.
Titty! What about Titty?
That's not one of the wrestlers here. What about the Beast Mortos?
Frank!
Under T.
The Beast Mortos.
For the.
Under T.
What was the is under T? The Beast Mortos. Would you keep him?
No.
What about for the legal department?
You know what? Let's put him in the middle. And I'm going to put down Frank Mortos, legal department. No, it's just, again, it's a funny looking outfit at a time where if you wanted to be an alternative product and appeal to a mainstream audience, you would try to avoid the fucking just clown show visual of this program with all of the... I'm sorry, whether anybody likes it or not, and in some cases it was very, very bad. The WWF and WWE have set the tone in people's mind for what a pro wrestler is supposed to look like in terms of some type of athletic standard and size threshold. And when you get children and guys in ridiculous bull outfits, and this would go for Mantor or Yukon Moose Cholak now too, it looks too hokey and low rent and indie wrestling to make money in this day and age. So sorry.
What about the Blade?
Is he still there? He was the bunny's other.
Yeah, now she's not there, but he is.
Well, but he ain't been there in 2 years at least.
Well, he must be doing.
When's the last time we saw this guy?
Well, again, they have a lot of programming that we don't watch, I think.
Well, but when did you last see his name on a website?
It didn't stick out, so I don't know. I don't.
Well,
remember.
let's stick him out. Blade, no, sorry. He was a nice, athletic-looking guy. He wasn't the fat, bearded old fuck, the butcher, but you know what? Let's keep the Blade if he still indeed is still alive, because I remember he was halfway athletic. We might could do something with it.
What about the Butcher?
Let's get rid of the fucking Butcher.
What about Toa Leone? Or that's not even the name.
Tia Leone.
Toa
is what her name
Leona.
is.
No, it's not her. It's not the actress. Toa Leona from the Gates of Agony.
Well, I would keep Tia Leone, but I'm not keeping any Anybody else?
From the premier athletes, Tony Nese.
He's, again, hadn't seen him in forever. He came to a Ring of Honor tryout in 2010. And I thought at that time for that program, he was very athletic, could go, smaller size, fit some of the other guys. It would have fit there. Right now, they don't fit. No, not at all. Square peg, round hole.
From the Don Callis family, Trent Beretta.
Oh, Christ. Can we get his mother to pick him up? He's irredeemable. You can never come back from that shit and be taken seriously. He was partners with Muffin Top Taylor. He had a mother that brought him to the matches in a minivan and baked him cookies. And he was part of that ridiculous, he was the sidekick to the mascot. How unimportant can you get?
And again, maybe we have to revisit this another time, see who is not on this list here, because obviously Rocky Romero, his partner, not on the roster list. What about from the Outrunners, Truth Magnum?
I think the Outriggers both got to go. I can't remember what their name is, but it's an embarrassing gimmick that, again, just appeals to the people that want to laugh at wrestling and think it's silly. And that's what you're trying to get away from so that you can attempt to draw a more mainstream audience with a professionally produced program.
So I guess you're saying goodbye to Turbo Floyd as well.
Truth and Turbo have been terminated.
3 more names, Jim.
Oh, good Lord.
Mr. Mayhem, Wardlow.
And he wasn't even on top of Mount Everest. Think about that. They ruined that opportunity.
Hey, let me stop you real quick. We've heard from a couple of people, I don't know why, they're like upset. Jim hasn't talked about Darby climbing Everest. Any comments you have about Darby climbing Everest with a AEW flag?
Well, yeah, he's a fucking idiot. Why do you want to put yourself through that? Did you see, it was just on the internet a couple of days ago, they had a traffic jam of people waiting to climb to the top of Mount Everest. There was pictures of the lines of people. I guess it was a good weather day, so everybody decided they'd go. They had to wait in line where one group goes up and takes their picture on the top, and then the Sherpas take them wherever. And then the next group comes up, and there were people lined up, like a couple of hundred of them, up and down this goddamn trail to this mountain. I didn't know that it was so commercialized. But the point is, this empty-headed dipshit still has a job that pays him millions of dollars a year that he took off of to go climb a fucking mountain where there was a 1% chance he could die.
Well, what a big babyface return that will be.
Back to Wardlow. Yeah, we'll keep him if we can find him.
From the Death Riders, Wheeler Yuta.
Oh boy, how quick can we get him out of here? I'm so sick of that whole business.
And finally, Jim, Will Ospreay.
You got to keep him, even though I think he's an idiot, because maybe he could be reformed or taught something. And you know, that's the problem, is when you go through who we've kept, who could be the guy, the champion, the top star of the company, and actually perform at a high professional level and draw some money. And as I'm looking down this list, some people might say Darby Allin. He ain't going to be the guy. Kyle is a few years away from that, and he needs to learn some things. MJF was there, but they diminished him. Ospreay. That's the list of who could be the guy. And on the fired side, wait a minute, I've got 3 pages of fired now. I'll even say who some people think could be the guy, and I have told you what I think of him because I fired him. But on this list that I'm looking at, No, nobody ever said, unless there's some Spitball Bailey fans out there that think there wasn't the guy on that page.
I don't think so.
How about the Drilistico edited hologram? Jack Perry. We dumped his ass. I don't think anybody still believes he could be one of the guy, one of the pillars. Again, there's nobody on this page either that anybody is even saying, okay, let's go to the front page. Moxley. Well, that's already happening, and that's been the shits. Kenny. That's already happened, and it ain't going to ever be as good as it once was. It wasn't particularly that good. Okada. Can you imagine if he was the AEW World Champion, how bad those matches would be? Since he would still not bother to try to fall down. Adam Page, who probably will be the champion again, and that's going to suck. That's the names on this list. Jericho, Edge. They haven't got a guy. If they fumble Ospreay, he's the least damaged one yet. If they fuck him up, they haven't got a guy to be the guy. Did I overlook any guys?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm sitting here trying to think who's not on this list. I brought up Rocky Romero before. Just have to be other examples of guys, but I mean, Gabe Kidd wasn't on the list, obviously. I'm not to say he's the guy, but he's new. You know, I think their top guys the last few years have been MJF, not so much lately. Adam Page, Swerve Strickland, Ospreay. You know, Moxley.
Oh, we kept Swerve, and I could mention Swerve. Swerve's in that group, but he's already been there.
Yeah. Ospreay's the one that you could build because he has not held the world title. Everyone else has. MJF has, Adam Page has, Omega has, Jericho has, Moxley has, Swerve has.
Swerve?
Yeah.
All
right, well, I didn't think this was going to depress me so much here at the end of this.
Well, but now the next thing we'll do, and we're going to do this for the WWF too.
Oh, yeah.
But the next thing we'll do is we'll go through who we kept, and then we'll separate main event guys from guys on the card. And we're going to have 6 guys on top and 28 on the bottom. That's the problem. All right.
Well, that was the AEW roster review, K2Z.